Hello, this is MythWorks, and today's video is all about practice. Practice, practice, practice. I'm practicing anything from the strokes and control of the brush strokes to pressure sensitivity control to practicing forms, practicing just hand-eye coordination with circles, with wobbles, drobbles, and whatever. All kind of nonsense, actually. Try to paint some faces, some scribbles, bribbles, essentially some trees, cracks in the space, and time and continuums of all kinds, some rocks, some. Essentially, it's like grabbing a brush and trying to do that masterful one-stroke thing. You stroke your brush and you get a form, you get shadows or something, or a highlight. Anything you want to make with as little brush work as possible. That is the main reason for this practice, and I do this every now and then. I don't really feel inclined to really practice like every day for a couple of hours, It's not good. It's not good for my health. It's not good for my psyche. So I practice the tool itself, which is Krita in my case. I don't use Photoshop because Photoshop is meant for photo manipulation and not the painting. And that's kind of the only reason why I chose to use Krita versus anything else. This thing, the Krita, is just like a blender. It's meant for one reason, for one thing and one thing only. You can practice hands if you want, you can practice shapes if you want. Point is, it has a bunch of basic brushes that are really, really good, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with it, especially if it's like just line art, like sketching, like inking. Inking is simulated really, really well from my point of view. But, oh, and another thing, if you're into sketching with a pencil, this is the cheapest version of it, because it has some really good pencils, pencils, some sort of that thing. It's really, really good for that kind of thing. For painting, well, my friend, you'll have to master this tool a little bit more in order to milk it properly, because it has possibilities to do things that you wouldn't believe. And what else? Oh yeah, I just essentially, when you keep practicing something, your imagination gets fired up, and when it gets fired up, well, most of you probably know already what happens. You just keep making something, and when it comes to practicing your painting or drawing or line control, like the control of the medium itself, well, because you kind of have to practice that thing, like with these plants here, you have to practice that. The sensitivity of how hard you're pressing, when to release it, how much you're gonna release it. In real life, it's all about the feedback from the bristles of the brush. In digital, it's all about the feedback from your shoulder muscles, which is not a trained part of your body, trust me. Because unless you're like fine artist for the last 57 years, so then in that case you're master, and I will like to follow your teachings. But the whole point of these trainings is to get those juices flowing. And it's not just to get them flowing as much as, well, hand-eye coordination, essentially. This one thing that I'm drawing now is from Bleach. I really like that anime, and I never read manga, but who cares, right? For as long as you can draw that nice crack in the sky. That's probably the coolest feature that thing had. And now goes some perspective training, because no, being able to draw perspective is kind of essential, I suppose. So practicing that is easiest is with a cube. You take a cube, you paint one side, then and you put a dot on top, for example, right? And then you just choose which side you're gonna paint, how close to you it's gonna be, how tall. Is it gonna be a cube this time or maybe not a cube? And that's kind of it. The most important part in everything is imagining upfront, like how wild your imagination can go, and that's kind of it. Truly, if you keep doing these exercises to just get your technique better, you're gonna end up with something like what trying to draw here. I'm not gonna tell you what it is because honestly, I don't know and I don't really care. Point is, I managed to draw a goddamn cloud. That's cool. Unless it's not really a cloud from your perspective, then I kind of failed. But the tree turned out to be pretty good, I suppose. And branches and everything. I found out that training to draw silhouettes really helps with that uh, imagination, but not imagination, visualization, or whatever the hell that process is called. When you see the object in your head with the shadows, with the highlights, with everything, like you would see it in real world, right? And then you essentially trace all those things on the paper, and that's the training I do. If anyone cares, leave a comment of what do you do when you train, or how often do you do that? Because conversation is a very cool thing. See you later.